You're looking extra Raider spirited too, right? I don't know if you put out extra Raider heads that I gave you or not, but it looks fabulous. And
Look,
the
I want to be as
tie.
Raider as I can.
And Rob's ready for the Barbados drink.
It is time to be all New Orleansy.
Yes, and we got a couple hurricane people excited too, so that's good. Well, it is about 5 after, and we know sometimes people join us late, so we'll go ahead in the essence of everyone's time, get started. I see most of the people I think, have been here or have joined us before. But if you haven't, welcome. Thanks for joining us for Raider on the Rocks. And at this time, we'll go through each drink, kind of pause, cheers, but feel free to ask questions as you always do. You guys always have the best questions. And if you can either unmute yourself and ask them, or feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat and I can help you ask them as well. So we'll make a drink, drink it, cheers, ask questions, and then move to the next as we get through all 3 drinks. So with that, I will turn it over to Brian to get started.
Hey, everybody. For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Brian Petro, Smart Guy in a Tie. You can follow me over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those other different places by finding Smart Guy in a Tie. I've been doing this for a while now. This is our 9th one, and I'm super excited to keep doing these. And because we keep getting more and more liquor. One of the things you asked me to do today was find another falernum cocktail or another use for falernum, and lo and behold, we have another use for falernum. And since it's Rowdy Gras, we had to go to New Orleans to start looking for inspirations for other cocktails. And so that's what we're doing today. We're doing New Orleans and Mardi Gras inspired cocktails for a variety of different reasons. A couple of things. If you do not have fancy bar equipment like I have a lot of fancy bar equipment because I'm a fancy bartender. I'm just a bartender, but I'm a fancy bartender. You can do this with tablespoons. This is 1 tablespoon. That is half an ounce. So if I say something is 2 ounces, 4 of these. 3 or 1.5 ounces, 3 of these. So 1 tablespoon is about a half an ounce, and you can go from there. If you do not have a shaking tin like this one, this is one I got for Christmas. I'm super excited to break it out for the first time with you all. You can use 2 pint glasses. So you could take a glass like this. Now, if you have one of these and this, you can also put it together to make a Boston shaker. Or if you just have 2 pint glasses, you can do something that's called rolling. And it would be just moving the cocktail back and forth between the 2 glasses. And what this does is it beats up anything that has proteins in it. So pulpy juices, like the lime juice we're going to be using today, the milk, the egg, all of it. So we'll have that as well. As far as squeezing juice is concerned, if you don't have a reamer or you don't have a press like this one, you can just pump up yourself and just squeeze it. It's very soft. Like lemons and limes are very soft. You can just. So those are a couple of things in terms of if you don't have all the equipment that you see here in front of me, you're still here to have fun and make cocktails. The other thing is you know how you like to drink. So if you want to reduce some of it, if you want to add some of it, you can do that. If you like sweeter cocktails, add more of the syrups. If you like more sour cocktails, add more of the lemon juice or the orange juice or whatever it happens to be. So these are your cocktails. You can kind of make them happen how you want to. So the first one we're going to do now. One other thing is I squeeze all of my juices. It's because I am a geek like that. Now you don't have to squeeze all of your own juices. If you have pre-bought store juice, I think Santa Cruz is probably the best. Or if you have one of those little limes that you can squeeze in, any type of fresh lime, lemon, orange, passion fruit juice, any of that is perfectly fine. It's however you want to get your juices together. That said, let's start off with our first cocktail, the Barbados cocktail. Again, this was based on the fact that somebody said, hey, we need more rum or we need more falernum in cocktails. And I went, I got you. So we're going to do a falernum-based cocktail. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to use this. Super excited. We are going to add 1 ounce of falernum. Now, falernum is a spirit that comes out of the Caribbean. It's got some ginger, some cardamom, some cinnamon. It's spiced. That's spicy, it's spiced. It's more like a Captain Morgan type of thing. And it smells absolutely delightful. So we're going to take 1 ounce or 2 tablespoons and add that to our shaking tin. And honestly, in terms of cocktails, 1 ounce of falernum is a healthy amount of falernum. You don't get a lot of cocktails with that much falernum in it. So 1 ounce of falernum in your vessel. Then we're going to add 1.5 ounces of dark rum. Whatever type of dark rum you have, if you have a Captain Morgan for your dark rum or the Still Rights spice rum for your dark rum, you can add that as well. Also, if you're making cocktails for a group, if there's more than one of you sitting there, you can double the recipe. It will be perfectly fine. So I'm going to add 1.5 ounces of plantation dark rum. And then I am going to squeeze 3/4 ounce of lime juice. So 1.5 ounces of the dark rum, 1 ounce of the velvet falernum. And if you're looking at limes and how many limes you should squeeze, a lime is probably a decent sized lime will probably give you 1/2 to 1/4 to maybe 1 ounce of juice. Limes aren't that big and they tend to be kind of stingy. Lemons are a little bit more generous, and then when you get into oranges and grapefruits, you're just getting juice all over the place. So I am going to add 3/4 ounce of lime juice. All right, so in your shaking vessel right now, you have 1 ounce of falernum, 1.5 ounces of the dark rum, and 3/4 ounce of lime juice. So 3 ingredients. This is very traditional in terms of cocktails and cocktail type of thinking. Your falernum is going to be your sweet with a little bit of spices, but the falernum is going to add some sweetness. There's going to be a little bit of sour with the lime. You've got your strong with the rum, and now we're going to add ice. Add your ice, put your lid on top, and I usually give mine a nice little pat, mainly because there's been several times that I've worn a cocktail and it doesn't look good with my complexion. So I'm just going to shake it, make sure I tap. Take it apart. I let it drip a little bit because there's still a lot of juice up in that top. Then we are going to take our cocktail and strain it into I'm using a coupe. You can strain it into whatever vessel you're going to be drinking out of. Now, because we're fancy and making cocktails, I'm going to cut a lime wedge. So for those of you, if you're still shaking, if you have a lime with you, you're going to need a lime and a knife. You're going to cut each edge, you're going to cut each edge off your lime. So you're going to cut off the top. You're going to cut off the bottom.
And hey, Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that people ask to use the falernum, but someone wants to also know, is there any substitute for falernum?
I would say if you had some sort of cinnamony sort of syrup, that would be a good one. Allspice dram would be something that would be a good substitute, but I don't know if a lot of people would have that. Those would probably be the two that I think of off the top of my head. You could also, it would have to be something that was a little bit sweeter, because the part of the falernum is it adds the sweetness to the cocktail. So that's what I would think. And if you don't have that sort of thing, I would probably add maybe a little bit of cinnamon or nutmeg to a simple syrup and shake it in that way. It's might not incorporate as well, but you're still going to get those flavors. Does that make sense? All right, so I cut my lime in half. I'm going to cut this little half in half again. So I'm going to have a quarter of a lime. So here's my lime quarter. Then I'm going to cut a slit across this lime quarter. The reason you want to cut the slit across the lime quarter, and not all the way through, maybe about halfway through it, is because you want this to rest easily on the edge of your glass. And if you don't cut that little slit in there, it's not going to rest easily on the edge of that glass. So I cut the little slit. Then I'm going to cut this quarter in half again. So I basically have 1/8 of a lime. And so it looks like this. So you cut it in half, cut it down to a quarter and put a slit into it, then cut it into 1/8 or half again. And then you just put that on the edge of your cocktail, and you have a Barbados cocktail. Has everybody got one? I see some lime cutting going on, so it looks like everybody's got one. And everyone's ready to drink. Have a sip. Tell me what you think.
Looks like some people are just putting the finishing touches on. Ooh, I got a thumbs up.
I saw the thumbs up. I saw 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
And to go with this first okay, I want to, as soon as we all get our cocktails and taste, hear what you think about it.
This is delicious, Brian. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And Liz said she thinks it's better than she anticipated, and she plans on trying it on Sunday with her family.
Make up a big old batch. Enjoy it. That's dangerous. I need to stop. We got 2 more cocktails.
Rob said it is dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lucy, I like your bar setup over there too. You've got a nice little area there to make drinks.
Everybody's working it. Everybody's getting that bar setup going.
I wasn't able to find the falernum, but I tried the
Falernum?
nutmeg and some simple syrup, and It is coming from Amazon tomorrow, so I will do it tomorrow.
Okay. When you're looking for falernum in your local liquor store, it's probably going to be with the other liqueurs. I know in Arrow wine, it's usually with like the orange liqueur and plum wines and things like that, or plum brandies and things like that. It's very Caribbean. If you like falernum and you like the way it tastes and you want to use it, what I would suggest and what we'll keep doing is tiki drinks. Tiki drinks are going to have a lot of falernum in it, a lot of rum, very good stuff. In fact, I would say that most of the Raiders on the Rocks have included a tiki drink or a tiki inspired drink for the bulk of them. So, and what I have paired with this are the smoked salmon silver dollar pancakes. Because one of the things about Rowdy Gras and this time of year, that Tuesday, also known as Shrove Tuesday, they would basically, since they had to fast back in the medieval times and up till probably the 1600s, they would basically make everything in their pantry so nothing went to waste. And one of the things they made a lot of were pancakes. So a lot of people on Tuesday before Lent will have, you know, paksi, which are Polish donuts, and pancakes, and a lot of other things like that, because that's what they would do. They would just make a whole bunch of stuff because they knew their food supply was going to go bad in 40 days. So these silver dollar pancakes with a little bit of salmon on top of it, I think the smoke and the richness of the pancake would go really well with the acidity and the spice in the cocktail. Any questions? Anyone want pancakes?
All right, I think we could probably move on to the next one.
All right, let's move on to the big guy here. So I took this recipe. This is a recipe that's kind of traditional. I saw it on a lot of different sites. When you find a hurricane or a cocktail like this, there's going to be a lot of variety. There's going to be a lot of different ways that people make it. And this is probably when people think tiki drinks and think New Orleans, this is the one they think of because of this place right here at O'Brien's in New Orleans. In fact, you can make this a lot easier than we are going to today if you just buy the Pat O'Brien's hurricane mix and mix it with rum. That'll be the easy way to do it. We're making it old school. So what we're going to do, and this is definitely tiki because we're starting off with 2 ounces of light rum and 2 ounces of dark rum. That's not what I wanted to pour it in. I'm already thinking ahead, everybody. So 2 ounces of light rum, 2 ounces of dark rum. Then we are going to take 2 ounces of, if you could find passion fruit puree or passion fruit juice, that would be what I would go with. This is a passion fruit mango juice. Pineapple juice would work just as well. Because pineapple is a good substitute. Mango is a good substitute for passion fruit juice. So I'm looking at everybody. I'm watching. I see everybody kind of pouring their shots of rum in, getting their rum ready. And then after that is going to be 2 ounces of the passion fruit juice. Those are going to be the big core flavors of this cocktail. Next, so 2 ounces of rum, 2 ounces of light rum, 2 ounces of dark rum, and then 2 ounces of passion fruit juice. Passion fruit, mango, pineapple, whichever you could find at your local grocery. And this is one of the hard things about teaching this cocktail is the level of difficulty most people find or most people run into when trying to find passion fruit juice. It's just not that common. You usually have to go to a specialty store. So that's why when I was making this one, the first thing I did was like, all right, if I can't find passion fruit juice, what can I find? And mango and pineapple both came up. I grabbed a mango passion fruit agua fresca by Santa Cruz. So now I am squeezing orange juice and squeezing it all over the table. So I know I will get at least 1 ounce of orange juice out of this. So now I have 1 ounce of orange juice. I am going to add one ounce of orange juice. I am going to add to the 2 ounces of passion fruit pineapple juice, 2 ounces of rum, and 2 ounces of dark rum. So 2 ounces of light rum, 2 ounces of dark rum, 2 ounces of passion fruit juice, 1 ounce of orange juice, and we're going to add another ½ ounce of our fresh lime juice. And that's another one of the things about tiki drinks that you'll find if you do enough tiki drinks is there's a lot happening in a tiki drink. It's not just 1 or 2 ingredients that are being put together. You're usually finding 4 or 5 different ingredients being put together, all mixed up. And the other thing you're going to find about tiki cocktails is they pack a punch. So my ½ ounce of lime juice. Now this last part is to add a little bit of sweetness, where we're going to have 1 tablespoon or a ½ ounce of simple syrup. And 1 ounce or half a taste or 2 tablespoons, I'm sorry, 2 tablespoons. So 2 tablespoons of simple syrup, 2 tablespoons of grenadine. Did anybody make their own grenadine?
You guys are getting fancy. Look at that. You got a squirt bottle and everything.
I know. This is a fancy sort of cocktail class. All right, so just to recap, make sure everybody has everything before we go forward a little bit. 2 ounces of light rum, 2 ounces of dark rum, 2 ounces of your passion fruit or pineapple or mango juice or whatever your chosen juice is, 1 ounce of orange juice, a ½ ounce of lime juice, then one tablespoon of simple syrup and 1 tablespoon of grenadine. All right, and then we add ice to that. And I'm also, while I'm doing this, going to add ice to my glass. Then we're going to put our lid on top of our shaking tin. Give it a little bit of a spank to make sure it stays sealed. And now we're going to shake. Aha. I love watching all of your shaking techniques because some of you have the ones with the screw-on lid. Some of you have these type of shakers like I'm using. You all got a little bit of something different. So there is our hurricane. Now, one thing we're going to find out about the hurricane is not it's just a fancy cocktail that looks really good and pretty and pink, but it also has a fancy garnish. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our orange in half. We're working on the garnish now, so we're going to cut our orange in half. We're going to cut our orange in half as we're holding the top of it where it attaches to the tree and the bottom of it. So we're going to cut it in half along the middle. Now we're going to cut a 1/4 inch width wheel of orange. You don't want it too thick because you're going to need to bend it, but you want it decently thick so you're not ripping it. So like a 1/4 inch. And I totally cut that too thin. So something that looks like this. Now you're also going to need a cherry. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to take a skewer. I'm going to take a slightly longer skewer so you can see it. And we're going to push the skewer through the top part of the orange. So it's kind of hanging like that. So skewer on top, orange hanging down below. I'm going to take one of my cherries. And put it on like so. So we've got the orange hanging like this, the cherry hanging like this. Okay? Now the last part, we're going to take the rest of the orange and pop it on the other side. So you have orange, cherry, skewered through the other end with an orange. This is called a flag. Now, if the orange is big enough, you can do it with half an orange, but my oranges aren't big enough, so I'm doing it with the whole round. But that is what the garnish looks like. So the orange, then a cherry, then an orange. Then you add it on top, and you have yourself a hurricane. Everybody got their hurricane? I see it. I see some drinking going on. Cheers. Cheers to the hurricane.
Chris is giving a thumbs up. Lucy's double fisting over here. Rob's cheering. I don't know. Mark might have fallen off his chair.
I mean, it is a pretty powerful drink. That could have happened. So what do we think?
We got a wow, so yum, delicious. People are still drinking over here. This might be a
Also,
fan
remember,
favorite.
this has at least 4 ounces of liquor in it, so just be careful. It's a good one.
We might have to have you start signing waivers for these classes.
But this, again, this is one of those cocktails that New Orleans is traditionally known for. The Barbados one I chose mainly because, again, the falernum, but New Orleans definitely has that Caribbean influence in it. This one is just such a New Orleans staple. Everybody knows about the Pat O'Brien hurricane. It's got its own mix. It's got its own legend. It's got its own glass. It's kind of like if you go to New Orleans, you have to go to Pat O'Brien's and get a hurricane. So we did the next best thing. And while you're in New Orleans, you need to get yourself an original shrimp po' boy. And po' boys came from exactly the way it sounds. People didn't have enough money, and so what they would do is take the most plentiful things they could find. Some crusty bread, some shrimp out of the Gulf, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of lettuce, and the remoulade sauce. And there you go. You have a sandwich. Some people will substitute oysters for the shrimp, but I love the shrimp. I don't normally eat a lot of shrimp, but the shrimp po' boy is one of my favorite dishes. So if we're going full New Orleans, I wanted to do a shrimp po' boy.
Janet said all we need is now just a piano bar.
Yes. This is way more fun. One of the other cocktails I was going to make was Sazerac, which is also very New Orleans. But I was trying to minimize the amount of bottles everybody had, and that would have required everyone to get some absinthe. So, and I don't know how people feel about absinthe. There's strong feelings one way or the other. This is such a crowd pleaser, though. You can't go wrong with a hurricane. Any questions?
I think we could probably move on to the next one.
Awesome. All right. So we have one cocktail left. Let me grab my milk out. So the brandy milk punch, which was going to be for our dessert, is also a New Orleans staple. It's very well known. Actually, if you're familiar with the Bartender Mercy in Dayton, they have a variation of it where they clarify the milk so the milk is clear, making the punch a little clearer. But the brandy milk punch kind of falls in the same category as like an eggnog. Just really rich, really good, a really nice way to finish off your meal. And there's going to be 2 ingredients in this that are optional. You may choose to add them. You don't have to add them. But they are there in case you do want to add them. So the first thing we're going to do, because this is a brandy milk punch, is we're going to add brandy. And we're going to add 2 ounces of brandy. Now, for those of you who have been to my classes before, and for those of you who are generally interested in history, New Orleans is a very brandy-focused town because New Orleans was originally French. And that's where the French often brought in all of it was their port. So they had a lot of access to brandy up about until the time that the United States took them over. And then that brandy sort of went away in favor of rye whiskey. So whenever you think about some of the cocktails that come out of there, a lot of them are made with rye whiskey nowadays, but in the beginning, probably were made with brandy. So we're starting off with a nice brandy. Now, I am going to go with the dark rum for the 1 ounce of rum. You can go with the light rum. I think with the brandy and everything else that's going on, I think the dark rum is going to add a nice rich taste to it. So I'm going to go with the 1 ounce of the dark rum. But that is your call. You can put the audible on that one. All right. So next is going to be milk. And it's a milk punch. We've got to put milk in it, right? So we're going to do 4 ounces of milk. So right now we have 2 ounces of brandy, 1 ounce of rum, and then we're going to do 4 ounces of milk. And if you have almond milk, if you have coconut milk, whatever type of creamy substance that you have, milk is the way to go. So 4 ounces of milk, 2 ounces of rum, 1 ounce of, 2 ounces of brandy, 1 ounce of rum. That's what we have in there now. So there we are. Next, we're going to do 1 ounce of the simple syrup. Lost a little track of it, found it again. 1 ounce of simple syrup. Now, this ends the required ingredients. If you don't want to put anything else in, absolutely fine. 1 ounce of simple syrup, 4 ounces of milk, any type of milk you want, 1 ounce of rum, 2 ounces of brandy. Now, the next two are optional. The first one is going to be a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So if you like a little bit of extra vanilla, which I do, you're going to want to add a little bit of the vanilla extract. I love it so much I got a fresh bottle for this. So, half teaspoon vanilla extract. Now, the last one is going to be the egg white. So, if you want to add the egg white, you can. If you don't want to add the egg white, you don't have to. What the egg white adds is a little bit of mouthfeel and a little bit of thickness and some frothiness. So, again, if you don't want the egg, don't add the egg. If you want to add the egg, add the egg. There's a lot of old school cocktails that have an egg in it. Joe Head, if you've ever been to the Century Bar and heard him talk about eggs in cocktails, one thing he will say is you have a better chance of choking on a bar snack than you do of getting sick off of an egg in a cocktail. So I'm going to add the egg white of 1 egg into my cocktail. And there we go. Or I'm just going to add the whole egg. So the egg white of 1 egg into your cocktail. Okay, now, if you added the egg, we've got a special shake we need to do. If you didn't add the egg, you can just shake it as a normal cocktail and strain it, and we'll catch up with you in a second. So I'm going to add some ice. So I'm going to add some ice, and then I'm going to shake the cocktail with egg and ice. And if you listen, it sounds really heavy and thick and mushy. This is to get a little bit of chill on it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to strain out the ice from this cocktail. So I'm pouring it off to the side, getting out the ice. I'm pouring out all the liquid. Then I'm going to take this out, dump the ice. And then I'm going to put the liquid back into my shaker. Again, this is only if you have egg. This is known as a reverse dry shake. So what this does is it emulsifies the egg. It makes the egg so it's a little bit more drinkable. It's more incorporated into the cocktail, and it has the mouthfeel of the egg in it. The reason I do it this way is if you do it the opposite way, where you put the egg in first with no ice, the lid tends to pop off more. So I found that the lid doesn't pop off as much when you do the reverse dry shake, and you get a frothier cocktail. So I am doing the reverse dry shake. And then all you need to do once that's over is pour it into your glass. And then take a little bit of nutmeg. Now, my mom says that any milk or cream-based cocktail should always have nutmeg on it. She's not wrong. She's going to put a little bit of the grated nutmeg on top of it for fanciness. And you have a traditional New Orleans milk punch. Everybody have theirs all ready and I saw a lot of you shaking without the egg in it. If you added the egg, let me know what you think. If you don't have the egg, let me know what you think. What do you think? I got a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Ooh, I like that thumb. Chris gave a fancy thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. And if you're going to have a milk cocktail, and one of the reasons I picked a milk-based cocktail is not just it was a New Orleans staple. You go to get a brandy milk punch in New Orleans. It's fantastic. The other part of that is it's going with king cake. And you can't have Mardi Gras without a little plastic baby in a nice cake.
So if you get the little plastic baby, that means you have to make the cocktails the next time, or you have to buy them.
I think it's
Next
just luck, but I like
Okay.
the idea of you get the baby, you buy cocktails.
Oh, nice selfie there, Rob. I saw it. Gotcha. Mark said it was really good. Janet said it was the best one yet. So I have a hard time with milk-based cocktails, but we won't go into that story. So,
And you know what? I thought long and hard about this one too, because I know that it has milk and egg, 2 things that not everybody enjoys in their cocktails. But it's so traditional in New Orleans, and I thought it went so well with the king cake that I couldn't avoid it.
okay.
Are you
Well,
fresh
I think that's
grating
all.
nutmeg?
Look at her. She's got a whole
Holy
setup.
bro, look at that. I've been out fancied. I have a jar full of whole nutmegs. I just tend to use them when I'm doing mulling spices and things like that.
I forgot to put the milk in. And I had to go back. So now I have to do something, right?
It's all good.
It's all delicious. Yes.
I mean, that's one way to avoid a milk-based cocktail, Brooke. Just don't put the milk in.
There you go. I guess I could have done it that way.
Could do that. It smells so wonderful.
So do we have any questions in general?
Ooh, and
Brandy.
Janet said she used vanilla flavored almond milk.
Oh, how does that taste?
Ooh.
I too have vanilla flavored almond milk. Oh,
She
perfect.
said love it. Well,
The other reason I went with it is I absolutely love brandy. So
So I found a couple
yeah.
different kinds of brandy in my whatever this place is down here, this bar, and I didn't know which one to use, so I got the one I got most recently.
see what it with
What can you say about brandy? What kind of?
Remy is good. I don't know much about Rothschild, but a VSOP is a very superior old ale, I think it is, and that's depending how long it's aged. So there's VS, which is very superior, VSOP, EX, and they've added a couple more things. So what you have is cognac, which is made specifically in the Cognac region of France. So it is brandy, but it's brandy made in a specific region with a specific way. And so what they'll do is they'll blend a whole bunch of the cases of the barrels of brandy together, and then they'll let it age and blend for another 3 years after they've done that. It's made with very specific grapes, and a VSOP is a very good brandy. So you chose a nice brandy to put into your milk punch. Other thoughts?
As always, Brian, now I have three new drinks that I love.
I mean, it could have been two. There could have been one that just flopped.
And Cindy, you got your new bar set, or Joyce, you got your new bar set for Christmas, didn't you? That was what you were using. Look at that.
Look at that.
Okay, well, with that, if there's not any other questions, I'm going to make one more shameless plug for Rowdy Gras. I put a link in the chat. You can still take advantage of the early bird rates, and it'll be a lot of fun. There'll be gambling and prizes in food and king cake. So if you are in the area or want to come to the area, we encourage you to come hang out with us on the 19th. And then also, we don't have any more of these scheduled, and we probably should. So I would love some feedback on what you'd like to see. We've done a lot. I can't believe it's the 9th one that you just said. So that's exciting. But we really want to do our best, Brian and I, to tailor these to what you have interest in. Or do you like when they have a theme? Do you like when they're around a holiday? Did we do St. Patrick's last year? I feel like maybe, or did I just make that up? I have to go back and look.
I don't
But
know.
that could be a good
because I
one.
think we did Rowdy Gras again last year too.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look back at some of our old ones. I'm pretty sure we did St. Patrick's Day because I remember
Might have.
making that recipe. But and Janet said if you have any keto or sugar-free syrups or anything, maybe we do some lean cocktails like or something. I don't know if that's interest to anybody, but please, if you have ideas, email me because we'd love to know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep putting them around either our events or holidays or things like that. But I would love to make sure that we are doing fun stuff that you'll want to attend. So, and we will continue to try to use some of the liquor now that we're on number 9 that you already have too. I think that's a good idea. Everyone's shaking their heads with that too. So.
To respond to something that Janet said about keto-friendly cocktails, it is something we can do. I'll have to look a little bit more into keto. I know that in one of the places I bartend, it seemed to be an entire conversation for an entire evening. And I know that when the Atkins trend and the other low sugar trends were going on, there was a lot of conversation there. So just let me kind of take a look at what that would entail, and I'll see if I can make a keto-friendly version of a cocktail to include next time.
Cool. And Mark even said he just made simple was it simple syrup with Splenda. So
how did that work?
you're muted,
well?
Mark. Here, I think I can unmute you.
It says it went fine. Okay.
Yep.
Someone
It was good.
I've tried with other artificial sweeteners.
It was keto.
I'm sorry?
It was good. It went, so yeah, I didn't see that much difference in it.
Good. I tried it with wine and then I left it and it kind of broke. So it looked like all of the Splenda started falling out of it. It had precipitate in it, and I was like, ooh. So I might have done it wrong, but
Okay.
we'll look that up.
All right. We got it off the internet, I think. Oh, actually, my wife is here. She said she actually read it off the bag. They had a simple syrup recipe off the bag with Splenda.
We'll have to try it.
All right.
Brilliant.
Right.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Um,
Thank you so much for doing
and
it
we'll,
again.
yeah, we'll get on trying to get another one on the calendar. And we hope that you have a great evening. And hopefully, maybe we'll see you guys at Rowdy Gras. And have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.